Hi everyone, my name is Cheryl and this is my Happy Handcraft Studio. Welcome. I'm a multi-crafter and I live in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains near Calgary, Alberta. I love stitching, quilting, any kind of handcraft. I'm also a huge reader. So this FlossTube, it will be mainly about stitching, and then a couple of special events that I attended in the area. With our wonderful weather now in Alberta, it is really great to be able to get out and enjoy our beautiful scenery and some special events that happen in the summertime. Thank you so much to everyone who has liked and subscribed in the past. I love reading your comments. And I look forward to chatting with you in comments after this video. For people who are interested in specifics about any of my projects, I do list them in the description box below, so they're there for you. I'm also on Instagram as happy.handcraftstudio, so I'll see you there as well. So, the review of May. For May, I took part in Semi-Sane Stitcher's May Madness, and it was mad. It was way too much stitching for a pretty regular stitcher. I took part in one of the challenges that was called May Madness, and you could choose what level of stitching you wanted to do, sane, semi-sane, or insane. And I did the semi-sane. I thought, yeah, that's probably about right. Well, over the month of May, I probably put in 10,000 stitches into various projects, which was a challenge because, you know, there's lots of other things to do in May besides stitch. But I did meet my goal of completing the challenge. But in some ways my stitching suffered, and in some ways it was great for my stitching. So, I mean, when you put almost 10,000 stitches into stitching, you're going to see some progress. But what happened is, because I had to get so many stitches in a day, I chose projects that were easy to put a lot of stitches in. So one of the things that I put lots of stitches into and finished was Real Comfort. So Real Comfort is a Jane Austen sampler. It's by Modern Folk Embroidery. The linen is an unknown fabric I had that I Ritz dyed very lightly with denim. And then it's DMC 310. And I was very happy to have this one completed. I started this in 2021, so it was nice to get it done. This is on the Silk app, so it was very easy to keep track of and to know my stitches for the challenge. Another project that I put a lot of stitches into was Dancer. Dancer is Barbara Anna Designs, and this one was in 2021 Christmas Winter Punch Needle and Primitive Stitching magazine. I love this linen. This is a Lugana charcoal 32 count with the DMC that was called for. So I have really good progress on this one. And then my oldest whip that I did get a lot of stitches into was Watermelon Tourmaline by Carolyn Manning Designs. And if you look at what it's going to be like when it's finished, I've totally completed up to that line. but I also have a lot more stitches in there. So I think it kind of comes, I think about there across. So still loving this. I'd like to get it done since it's my oldest whip. It's always nice to get those finished. I started this one January 1st, 2021. So those are the pieces that I really focused on to get all the stitching into. So then June arrived, and one of the first things that I worked on was my Jubilee Pincushion Ornament. This is by Helen Phillips. I purchased it on Etsy. It's on Charlescraft Monaco 28 count white with the called for DMC. Now this is in honor of the Queen's 70th year on the throne. And I've stitched this one up for Colorado Cross Stitches Cross Stitch Camp 2022. I wanted to pick something that I knew I would have no trouble getting done in the month. And I love this. So for Whip Go, I have a Whip Go board that is new starts, or fairly new starts. And one of the ones that I started was this little kit that I found out once I opened it was actually a Petit Point kit. This is Miniature by Leonard. I don't know what count it is, but I really enjoyed this little piece. This was a little kit that I picked up at one of the Ujama Grandma's fabric and yarn sales. I'm looking forward to finishing that. That doesn't have too much more to go on that one. And then I also started this one. This is Mona for Mona Lisa. And it was in a book from the Mr. Cross Stitch Guide to Cross Stitch. And I'm doing it on a 14 count Aida, and the DMC is the called for. So even though this is a little piece, it's only 40 by 62, it is full coverage. So it'll take a little bit of time, but it's nice, you know, something this pixelated. It's interesting to see it blend as I go through it. So I'm looking forward to doing more on that one. So on my Whip Go board, I have 2 new starts, and then I have this, like a box that would have, say, Mona in it, would also say work on your favorite whip. And so my favorite whip was Hoity Toity. And what I managed this time was basically the birds so far. I love this piece. It just gives me such joy when I'm working on it. The way the colors come together. I am using the called for colors. There's no conversion here. And it's on 32 count antique white Lugana. Love it. So another project that I've been working on every month are the mini bouquets. This is a Sal from Jeanette Douglas Designs. And I'm going to show you the 6 I've completed so far. So this was June right here. And that's all of them together. These are really fun to do. These would make a great small if you are going to some kind of a stitching retreat where you're going to exchange smalls. These would be really precious. You could frame them or you could make them into pincushions. I haven't decided yet how I'm going to finish them, but that's my start so far. happy with it. So one of the projects that didn't get work done in May like I had hoped was one of my WIPGO calls from May. And that was this one. This is called Woodland Christmas. And this was in one of the Christmas magazines. Let me just see, I have it here. This was in Just Cross Stitch Christmas Ornaments 2021. It's Lois Winston for DMC. Excuse me. So this was to be done in May, but with all the back stitches and confetti, I just put it aside. But I have now completed what I would have wanted to do for WIPGO. I have my 5 hours into it, and it's just about finished. I just have a little bit of branches left there to do, and it'll be done. Something else that I work on weekly is the 2022 Blackwork Sal by Peppermint Purple. This is a free sal that you can join, and every week a new box comes out. So I'm up to date on my boxes, but I'm not up to date on my border. But I'll work on that. I love it. I really enjoy the black work. It's something different to do. Doesn't work though for if you're in a challenge that involves counting. All right, and so something that I do every day or every couple of days is my temperature library, and this is by Christie's Corner. So it is like a library shelf. And in the original pattern, they have a clock here. But with the Queen's Jubilee being in June, I've put her coronation crown on there. If I had known that there would be so many days orange, I might have chosen different colors. As you can see, our temperature has been really pretty consistent, you know, for May and now in June. Just kind of around that, 15 to 20 degree Celsius range, which is lovely. I mean, it's great, but it's orange. Not one of my colors. If I was to do this again, I would make this color more of the greens. I would have changed my range so that these days are green, because if you look outside, it is green. We have had lots of rain and lots of sun, and so things are really green. It's wonderful. So that again is Temperature Library. And another one that I completed and did finish and fully finish, and I'm not really thrilled with this fully finished, but it's fully finished, so I wanted to try something different, and so I made a journal cover. So this is the Needlework Fairy. It's a Mill Hill kit by Jim Shore. And again, this was a little kit that I picked up at a Ujama sale and made it into a journal cover. I might use this for my stitching to record things. And there's a place for pens, and then there's a bigger pocket here at the back. So, you know, I'd like to iron this better, but with all the beads, my love of really pressing things had to be changed. All right, so what the last piece I'm going to show was a piece that I worked on a lot in May because I could work on the border and count stitches. And now that this is a sal, now that June is here, I've started working on the June part. So this is Changing Seasons by Fox and Rabbit. It's their Mystery Sal. And this is on 32 count Belfast linen, natural. Something for behind. Maybe you can see that better. I'm really enjoying this one now. It's huge. It's one of those BAPs. It's a big, amazing project. But there's a big space here before there's another full border around. It's 360 by 360. So it's huge. And I don't have anywhere near the borders done. Like the January borders, yeah, I didn't do them. I didn't do them in January. But I'm working on them now, especially if you're in a challenge where you just need to count stitches. That will work. So I had a question from last month, just let me grab this, about how I choose my colors. And so I'm going to insert here a video that I made showing how I chose my colors for this project, and I've used it for other projects in the past as well. So I'll insert that video here. I go to the website stitchpalettes.com, and I start by typing in the DMC number that I would like to find coordinating colors for. And then it takes me to a page that shows lots of different photos with the generated DMC colors that are in that photo. Now, if you like the photo, chances are those are the colors that you are most interested in using. Now, I knew that I had a piece that was going to have lots of flowers and greenery. And so I looked for one that had something nice and bright. And what I found was this one, Friends in High Places. It had some greens. It also had DMC 892 Medium Carnation, which is the pop of color that you see on my sampler. I did put in one other green as well, just so I'd have more variations with my stems and leaves. So I hope that might give some other people some inspiration. I'm planning on inserting one of my own photos because there's a photo converter on that website as well. So you could, put your own photos in and see what thread colors they are. And, maybe then put it into like a cross stitch converter. I've never done that. That would be a good learning experience, to take a photo, have it turn into a pattern, and then use the stitch palette to choose your thread colors. I thought it was great. Just a great idea. If you know what colors you really like, put them in there and see what palettes are generated. So I was saying that I've been doing lots of things outside of outside of my home. It's great weather. There's lots of events. And so I'm going to show you pictures from a great day. So the great day started by getting up and taking care of the plants I have outside. It was just a beautiful day in the foothills. And it was a Saturday. I hadn't made any plans. But because of the beauty of the day, I decided to go to Heritage Park. Heritage Park is in Calgary, and it has, it's moved in our older buildings. Now, Canada's a very, it's not a young country, but the settlers that came in like the 1700s, really, and built buildings. And in the prairies, we were even way behind the times there. So a lot of our heritage buildings are only 200 years old. Like they're not old. But they have been moved to this park, and there are volunteers who dress in costume. And this is a site that holds an annual quilt festival. And it's my kind of a quilt festival. The only prizes that are awarded is you get a ribbon if it is your first entry into the quilt show. I love that. So you get every type of quilt. Some quilt guilds will put in a whole grouping of quilts. It was a glorious day, and there were quilts hanging on buildings. There were quilts in tents. There were quilts out on big easels. It was great. Like, it was really a wonderful day to be out looking at quilts. And I figure it's time for me to get off the fence and actually put some quilts in next year. They were down in the number of quilts this year. You know, with COVID and everything, some people might not even known if it was really a go or not, but it was. And so next year I'm going to put some quilts in. So I was in Calgary for that, and so then I headed straight from there to a vintage fair. And I love going through the vintage fairs, you know, just to see what's considered vintage and also how it's styled. I love seeing how people will put together their displays. I was looking for stitching and only saw just a very few number of pieces that were stitched. So another great event was one of my quilt guilds held a June celebration. It was in a beautiful location. It was along the river. The trees were in bloom. Some members had brought their quilts to hang, to display. They were wonderful. We had lots of chance to visit with other guild members. 2 shops had pop-up shops. And I'll show you a couple of the things I purchased. I didn't purchase a lot because I don't need fabric. I've got a good supply. I did pick up these Sew Tights, which are magnets to hold your work together. A lot of people are using these for English paper piecing. But I'm also thinking for bag making this would work. You know, when you're working with vinyls and can't pin, the magnets might hold it while you're stitching. So I purchased those. And then something else that I picked up, I've been wanting to get, are die catchers. We can't seem to purchase these in Canada. I haven't seen them. They might be in they must be in some of the quilt stores. But they were handy, and I wanted to support these businesses that came. It was really wonderful of them. And then we had a table where you could bring in scraps. And then for $1 a bag, you could fill your bag, right? And I wasn't filling a bag for scraps for myself, but one of my guild member friends asked for a bag of scraps. And so I also found this, and I'm looking forward to making this little snow baby. I do have a porcelain snow baby ornament that a student gave me years ago on my tree, and I really like it. So I'm thinking this would be a great little kit. It seems to have everything that you need. And one other thing I picked up at another of the shops was this package of wool for wool felting. These were colors that I didn't have in my supply. I have lots of blacks and kind of neutral colors, but I know I love the purples and the teals, so that will be great to have. Okay, so that is everything that I've been working on. So my plans are to try to get some ambition to get some sewing done. I have several quilts that I'm working on, mystery quilt and several other scrap quilts, but I'm at the point where I have to learn to do quilt as you go. Now I've been watching some videos, so I think I'm ready to get started on that. I'm also finishing up some bags this weekend. It's going to be a busy weekend. On Saturday, I'm headed to City Stitcher's quilt stitch gathering. If you watch City Stitcher, Judy is also from the Calgary area, and she has put together a get-together at Signal Hill Library, and so I'm really excited to go there and meet some other local stitchers. So that's in the morning. In the afternoon, I'm headed to the home of one of our baguettes for our annual community garage sale, where we sell bags that did not sell in last October's Ujama sale. So we sell them at the garage sale, and it's all the money is donated to the Stephen Lewis Foundation. So I'm looking forward to that. And then on Sunday, I am painting a barn quilt. So one of the members of our Millerville Guild has started to paint barn quilts and teach how to paint barn quilts. So I'm really excited to learn how. When I've traveled through the States, I've often, ended up on these barn quilt trails, through Pennsylvania or Indiana, Iowa. I really enjoy seeing the artwork on the sides of the buildings, and so I'm going to paint one. Do I have a barn? No. I don't think I even have an outside wall I can put it on, but maybe it'll be inside our house. We do have family that have a farm and a barn, so who knows where it could end up. But stay tuned to hear just how all that turns out. I'm really excited. It's going to be a really good weekend. Hopefully our weather cooperates. In Alberta, June is our wettest month. This is the month that we get rain, and I'm not complaining. When you hear about so many places where it is so dry, it is great to have lush green grass and fields. So I'm thrilled about that. Okay, I think I promised some video and some pictures of some of the wildlife adventures that we've been having. So we headed out to Kananaskis. Kananaskis is an Alberta provincial park. So like in the United States, you have state parks. Well, this is a provincial park, and it's wonderful. It has great scenery. We headed to an area called Sheep River Falls, and we usually see mountain sheep on that trip. We didn't see mountain sheep this year. We saw lots of deer, and we saw bear. We don't see bear that often. I mean, we have had them just in our neighborhood, but you don't see them. But on our way into the park, people had stopped, and up on the side of the hill, there was mother bear with 3 yearling cubs eating dandelions as they worked their way down the hill. And so we were so excited to see them. And you can see by the picture that we were a great distance away. We don't go near wildlife. We try to give them a good birth. And then on the way out, there was another bear, just a single, again on the side of the hill. So the pictures are not great, but it's a bear. About a week later, we drove to Banff and enjoyed the scenery there. And on our way out, there was this small bear eating up all the dandelions along the bike path. And so even though it's close, we did not get out of our vehicle. Stayed in the car and took a picture. The people on the bike path took a wide berth away from the bear. We really do want to acknowledge they are wild animals and are unpredictable, and we try to keep our distance. So yeah, it's summer. It's time to get out and enjoy our natural environment. It's really wonderful. All right, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful few weeks of stitching, and I hope to be back soon. See you later. Bye-bye.